Are you tired of doing everything yourself in your business? In this video, I'm going to share with you how to build a sufficient team. Cam and Cody are painters, and we began working with them when they were working 70 hours a week, and they experienced illness and sickness as a result of working so many hours. Their goal was to achieve $675,000 a year in gross sales. And in just 10 months later, they had reached the $1 million mark, and they had reduced their work hours between 30 and 40 hours each week. Their health began to improve, and from there, they were able to grow dramatically as a result of building a self-sufficient team. And I could tell you story after story after story where business owners are in the burnout stage. And that was the stage that I was in when I hired my first coach. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you that story as well. We were doing about $1 million a year. We had grown to that point through a lot of sweat and tears, but we had all the classic problems. We had high debt. We were working way too many hours, not making near enough money. We had problems with employees, problems with customers, you name it. We had all the problems, but we made the good decision of hiring a coach. And within just a few months, we were able to cut our work hours in half and double the amount of salary that we were taking through the business. If you're feeling burned out, it's really the fact that it's a lack of leadership and the team is too dependent on you. And so why is it that you're doing everything after all these months or all these years for you? You have built a task-following team, but not a problem-solving team. Your team waits for direction from you. They're not trained on how to take the initiative. You have no systems or few systems that you've documented so your team knows how to follow. You clearly haven't defined what ownership looks like for them to follow. And you are unintentionally reinforcing a culture of dependency on you to do everything, to make every decision. What we need to do is to build a self-sufficient team. And I call that building a team of many CEOs in your business, with you being the primary CEO. So what does that look like? It's a new mindset that you are setting. You want them to think this: don't work for me, work for results. That's what I want you to do in the future. Is you've got to tell them that you're now working for results. That's your job, that's your responsibility. I'll give you an example of what we did. We were working with a client who is in the construction business, and they had several salespeople on their team. One of the owners had worked out a highly sophisticated, complex pricing platform that they could use to do their pricing. However, nobody could really understand it. It was too hard to really communicate to their clients. Therefore, we did some training for the salespeople and gave them some guidelines for them to work within in doing their pricing. We let them go. We empowered them to go do the pricing themselves. Their closing rates increased dramatically. Actually, they doubled as a result of now setting them free. And we went back to check and see how the profits were, and the profits actually went up from the pricing that we did before. And so that's a matter of training and empowering your people, giving them the power to make decisions in the business, giving them guidelines, but training them on what the expectations are that you can do. And you want to think about beginning to promote your team leaders. And this is what we did in our business with our coach. Was we appointed a sales manager, we appointed a financial manager, and an operations manager. And then they began to help with the extra work that had to be done. We began to meet with them weekly. So this is the next step: is you want to promote people that show potential for leadership. And then you want to document the processes. You want them to document the processes. Think this: leadership determines the what, but the team leaders determine the how. And so you want to think about process owners. Now, what are the major processes in your business. Think about this. You've got the human resource process, that is taking in and managing people. You've got your sales process. You've got operational processes. You've got your financial process. And so what you can do is have one of those people on your team in charge of that particular function and role, and then have them to document it. And back in the day, we had to write them down. That was really the only way that there was available to us. But now we've got modern technology that helps us. And an amazing tool that we use is called Loom. You can use Loom to speak in recording while showing them on the screen what you want to teach them. And then it transcribes that information into text. And that can become the basis for your processes in your business. So you want to create the processes, you want to document them, and then you want to eventually have SOPs, that is standard operating procedures for how things are done in your business. Then you begin to have weekly meetings with your team leaders, and you begin to make decisions, allow them input into your decisions. You're the leader, and you would typically make the final decisions, but then they become leaders of those domains that they're responsible for. And you also want to teach them during these team meetings. You want to spend a few minutes, maybe 15 minutes every meeting, focusing on a different area of leadership. For example, you could teach how to become an effective leader, how to delegate, how to solve problems, how to communicate. And if you do that, you'll be training up these people so that they can do more and more and more while you're doing less and less and less. As you have them in these meetings, you give them the chance to lead the meetings as well. Let them take turns on leading a meeting. Now they're learning leadership skills by running a meeting. And you want to recognize the people who do a good job of taking the initiative, of making decisions. You never, ever want to criticize them when they make a decision, because that's going to slow down your progress. Always stand behind them. Let them make mistakes. That's what the way that you learned, right? By making mistakes. So allow them to make mistakes, and you can have those discussions, but never criticize them. You want to acknowledge them publicly for taking the initiative and taking that leadership. In summary, you want to teach your people to solve problems, to document systems, and take ownership. And I'd like to tell you the end of the story for Cam and Cody, and also the end of my story. From there, we're at the $1 million point. We were able to, with the help of our coach, as he helped us do many of the things we talked about today, we grew to $8.5 million with 130 employees and sold the business to a publicly held company. And I credit that work, that foundational work that he did with us, for helping us to achieve that goal. And here's what Cam and Cody, the painters, said about their process. We have seen a big change in our business since we began working with our coach at Small Business Coach Associates, not only in how we're running our business, but in our personal lives as well. This coaching has changed our health and stress levels. We were working 70 hours a week, and now we're working 30 to 40 hours a week. Before coaching, we were always dealing with emergencies. Now we have less stress. Now we respond to problems with clients and employees more quickly. We have great systems in place to move our business forward. Before, we didn't know how to move to profitability and efficiency. We are moving in the right direction for the first time in years. We are focused on growth and productivity. Before, $1 million in sales seemed impossible. Our sales goal for this year was $675,000, but now we have already exceeded $1 million in sales with 2 months remaining this year. So congratulations, Cam and Cody, for using this information that we've taught today to you. And I encourage you to take it and to use it for your business as well. Hope that's helpful. Have a great day.